This is the June 29th through July 13th financial astrology forecast. This starts with a powerful full moon on June 29th alongside Mercury stationing retrograde, setting this tone for a shifting sentiment, revised expectations across the crypto and financial markets. July 1st, Jupiter will enter Leo, and this will ignite a deeper backdrop building up to one of the rarest astrological configurations called the Barbault Belt. This is widely viewed as a highly significant, rare, and transformational period for global humanity, pointing towards major societal reorganization, renewal, and potential relaunch of civilization. So let's break this down to see what it means for the New York Stock Exchange markets. I will be doing a live stream on Monday, June 29th, the day of the full moon, to answer any questions you may have about this forecast and to watch the markets react to this full moon and Mercury retrograde. So please come and join. June 29th, full moon is in Capricorn at 8 degrees. Saturn is the ruler of this moon, and it's squaring to Neptune and it's squaring to Saturn. This is significant because Saturn rules Bitcoin's chart and Neptune rules New York Stock Exchange's chart. New York Stock Exchange's midhaven. Very significant that this is happening. And I believe this is going to challenge these markets. Neptune will station retrograde July the 7th. Uranus and Mars will be squaring this north node. Mars is at 0 degrees, which is very significant. Mercury will also be retrograde the day that the full moon happens, causing chaos, confusion, uncertainty, fear, and doubt, and Jupiter is at 29 degrees. What is this Barbault Basket? This refers to a specific planetary configuration in astrology identified by the renowned French astrologer André Barbault. It occurs on all the outer planets grouped together to form a basket shape across the zodiac wheel. It's considered highly significant and very, very rare. It's a transformational period for global humanity, societal reorganization, and renewal. He describes this period as a potential relaunch of civilizations. July 15th through the 26th is when these transits become tightly synchronized in the sky. The themes around this is long-term civilization shifts, Neptune sextile Pluto, global reorganization, marks a fundamental reorganization of the collective and a monumental turning point rather than a sudden utopian peace. So there's a bit of upheaval during these changes. Uranus trine Pluto, it's technological, social transformation. It's a period that brings massive technological advancements, which we can see happening now, and shifts in the workplace. There's power and ideology shifts. The era involves major power struggles over resources, currency, trade, alongside efforts by the public to demand transparency to reshape global economic order. Jupiter opposite to Pluto, this is the struggle of who controls emerging systems and corruption being exposed. Jupiter is activating this pattern. Jupiter's expansion, its visibility, growth, power versus control, with that Pluto and Jupiter opposition, visibility of corruption. And Saturn and Neptune, when they were conjunct in Aries at 0 degrees, marked the turning point of turning ideals into actions and rebuilding systems after the dissolution. This configuration, July the 1st, I feel we're going to start to feel the effects growing stronger and stronger. Anything that I say in this report, starting in July when Jupiter enters into Leo, might not come to fruition, meaning this Barbault Basket energy and configuration could take hold of the market and move it in a direction, a specific direction, many directions, unexpected directions due to this configuration. If there's positive transits I'm talking about and they don't come to fruition because it's strongly negative, that is one of the reasons why, and vice versa. If it's extremely positive and there's some challenging things going on, they might not come to fruition due to this Barbault Basket. This is very strong. I do not know exactly how it will influence the markets. The positive transits happening with Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune usually would signal a very bullish type of market. But with Pluto opposite to Jupiter, that is a strong signal of market corrections, market fallouts. Mars is next to Uranus, unexpected, extremely unexpected events occurring, volatility, price movements happening. Mars square this Uranus. Mars and Uranus squaring the North Node also are signaling high tensions. During this configuration, only Uranus will be squaring to this North Node. But again, that's a sudden change of direction, change of movement, unexpected prices. But this Jupiter opposite to Pluto is really why I'm feeling that this could be a very challenged time for the markets during this July. But I will do more research on this. For now, Mercury retrograde during the full moon is signaling chaos, challenges, unexpected prices, unexpected movement, retracing, reevaluating the markets. Moon squaring to Saturn, Moon squaring Neptune is also a signal of challenges during these 2 weeks because those are very important planets in Bitcoin and New York Stock Exchange's charts. Something else to take note of is when there are planets at 4 degrees, transiting planets at 4 degrees aspecting the natal charts of Bitcoin or New York Stock Exchange, this will be something to really pay attention to. And we should watch for trends of whether these are positive or negative and how they play out, because these are also activating this configuration, that Balter's configuration. So that could also be a clue of how this transit and time period in mid-July could play out. How much does the market move? What is its behavior? News will extremely influence this period, all of July. I'm looking at this full moon period right now, but all of July, news will highly be influential. Especially, we also have Mars and Uranus conjunct each other. That could be fighting, rising tensions, rising fighting, large-scale fighting. Big events, large events. Events that we have not ever seen before is something that is more than likely going to happen, and that will also influence the markets. And again, if I'm speaking of a transit that's happening and supposed to be really positive, say, and something occurs globally or geopolitically or in some other country, that could definitely influence the markets. And the transits that are playing out that I'm speaking of might not be coming to fruition because of these transits. And especially Mars and Uranus as well, and Mercury retrograde. What's something I do want to preface that I didn't say in the beginning is these last few days I have felt like I have to do a million things and go, and I can't keep up. Very all over the place, very chaotic I'm feeling. That could be also energies of this last 2 weeks, that everything's just moving so quickly, and that you just cannot even keep up. Whether you have something to do or not, just this I have to get something done energy, this panicked almost energy. And I'm saying that because I've been looking at these charts for the past few days, researching, trying to put this information together, and this is how I've been feeling. So it's just something to keep in mind. Looking at the New York Stock Exchange, this could also be a challenging period because the full moon is squaring to New York Stock Exchange's Neptune in the general transits. That is a telltale that it's going to be a challenging period because Neptune rules this midhaven, and it's very, very, very important to the charts. Jupiter is at that 29 degrees. It's sextile to the sun, and so is Mercury. They're both sextile to New York Stock Exchange's sun. The full moon squaring to natal Venus, to Neptune, I feel is going to be the strongest telltale of how the cycle in this period could go. The moon is trining to Venus, which is also positive, and Venus is also trine to the moon. But I feel it's going to be overall challenging due to the full moon squaring to natal Neptune. Since June the 3rd, as I was analyzing these charts, there has been this change in trend of more challenged, negative overall, moving down the market prices. And the one thing that I have found is that Saturn has been in a square to natal Chiron. And that is when the market has started to trend in this downward momentum. And I feel that that is the case, one of the cases why. During this full moon, Saturn will still be squaring to natal Chiron. So I feel that the trend could continue to stay in this more of a downward trajectory or be limited on how far it can grow. But June the 3rd is when I tracked back to see what was causing this to suddenly make this downward direction in the market, and it was Saturn squaring to Chiron. It's going to be squaring to Chiron for part of these last 2 weeks. So the first week of this full moon, we could be seeing a trending downwards. Mercury sextile the sun, but Mercury is retrograde. I feel that's going to be causing more chaos. Jupiter is sextile to the sun, and that is positive. So it's not going to all be challenged and negative, but the Saturn squaring to Chiron, I feel, is a major, strongest reason of why we're seeing this downward trend. There will be some unexpected positive, strong gains because Uranus is in a trine to New York Stock Exchange's North Node, and that's at 4 degrees. When that's exact, that is going to also be something to watch the pattern on that around that time to see maybe how this mid-July transits could play out. June the 29th, the day of the actual full moon, there are no transits in New York Stock Exchange's chart. So Mercury goes retrograde, full moon in Capricorn, and it's squaring to this New York Stock Exchange's Neptune. I feel this could be an overall challenging day because Jupiter will be squaring to Chiron on the 1st. But it could open positive in the morning because I have this set chart for 9:30, and the moon will be trying to natal Neptune. But also we have the transiting midheaven in a trine to natal Mars. It won't last here all day. It only is going to last here for about a half hour. So the first hour of the day, it could be very positive. But then afterwards, as time goes on, it could just be changing to overall negative. June the 30th could be the same trend as yesterday. Again, there are not any transits in New York Stock Exchange's chart. But the 30th, Jupiter will enter into Leo. It'll be leaving the New York Stock Exchange's first house. Entering into Leo, it will be still sextile to Bitcoin, to New York Stock Exchange's sun, but it's changing its sign. Expansive, over optimism. But I feel this is going to be more challenging and follow the trend of the previous day for the fact that it's coming into this square with Chiron, and it's also opposite to New York Stock Exchange's Neptune. I feel it's going to highlight that opposition to New York Stock Exchange's Neptune, and the full moon squaring to Neptune. This is going to be a challenge. Excuse me, it's not natal Neptune. It's moon squaring Neptune in the general transits chart. And this could actually be the same trend. Like I said, in the morning, it could be positive because transiting midheaven is trining to New York Stock Exchange's Mars, causing increased price for the first hour. And then it could change over to more of challenged momentum, even sideways challenged momentum. The 30th, this is the last day that Jupiter is sextiling to New York Stock Exchange's sun. It's moving far away or far enough away that doesn't have as strong of an influence. So this Jupiter squaring to Chiron in the general transits chart could also be taking over. One thing that I have to do, and I'm making a note of it now, I should look back to see how Jupiter in Leo affected New York Stock Exchange's charts. It's in the second house of the New York Stock Exchange. That is value, that is money value, that is the market's value. So I'm going to have to take a look at that and see how that did affect it. July 2nd and the 3rd. July 2nd, general transits, we have Venus trining to Lilith and Mars squaring the North Node. Mars squaring the North Node is action. I feel this is going to also be very challenged. That's in the general transits. On the 2nd, there are no transits in New York Stock Exchange's chart. With Jupiter squaring to Chiron, Mars squaring this North Node within 2 days of each other, I feel that this day could be a challenge, July the 2nd, especially with Mars squaring this North Node. In New York Stock Exchange's chart, Mars will be trining New York Stock Exchange's North Node. This could cause overall volatility more than anything else. But I feel that with Jupiter squaring to Chiron, it's going to cause continued challenge momentum, negative price movement, with a brief period of positive market movement. And that could be in the morning because the transiting midheaven will be trining to New York Stock Exchange's Mars, and that causes action, it causes movement. So overall, I feel this is going to be challenged, negative momentum, maybe in the morning at some point, whether it's when the market opens or 10:30, 11, we could see a brief period of positive in the markets. July 3rd, we have Venus opposite to natal Pluto. While this is challenging, this happens after the markets are closed. I feel this could be more of a volatile day because the sun is coming into an exact conjunction with the natal ascendant, and that is going to be extremely positive. So the 3rd and even the 4th, I feel like this could be more a positive period due to the influence of July the 5th when the sun comes into a conjunction with the ascendant. That is very important. It's an angle of the market causing positive increased market movement, increased prices, positive emotional sentiment, strong emotional sentiment, positively. July the 6th through the 8th. July the 6th, we have Venus trine New York Stock Exchange's Saturn, and the sun squaring to Saturn in the general transits chart. But this is also the day before Neptune stations retrograde. Neptune is very important in this chart here. I looked back to see how Neptune retrograde affected the stock market, and it didn't have such a challenge effect to the market. So on the 6th, it could be fear, uncertainty, and volatility because the sun in New York Stock Exchange's chart will be next to New York Stock Exchange's Chiron. It's not exact that day, but it will be next to it. So I feel that this could cause some challenges. Venus will be squaring New York Stock Exchange's sun. That is also a challenge. Mercury is a good influence too, but Venus is a stronger influence. The moon will be sextile to New York Stock Exchange's sun. So in this morning or in the earlier period of the day, it could be a bit more positive. But as the day moves on, and especially with Mercury's midheaven next to New York Stock Exchange's sun, early part of the day could be positive, but as soon as this transiting midheaven moves away, it could be more challenged. And there could be confusion in the market, that uncertainty, that volatility with Neptune getting ready to station retrograde as on the 7th. This could be a period better for buying. July the 7th, Neptune stations retrograde in the general transits charts. In New York Stock Exchange's chart, Venus will square the sun, Venus sextile Neptune, Mercury sextile Mercury. Mercury's retrograde though. Venus sextile natal Neptune is extremely positive. This could actually be more positive than anything else. This is a day that Jupiter will no longer be squaring to New York Stock Exchange's Neptune. I don't know why I have Jupiter here. So that is a relief. It's a lifting relief off of that challenge. So this could also be an overall positive day more than anything else, even though Neptune stationing retrograde with Venus sextiling natal Neptune, it could be more of a positive day than anything else. Maybe some volatility, maybe some unexpected or foggy, unclear trade signals, but this could be an overall emotionally positive sentiment of a day. The Neptune stationing retrograde is slow, so this unexpected chaos could be something that's building, and over the next duration of time until December, we could have these unexpected periods of pullbacks due to this. But I overall don't feel that Neptune stationing retrograde is going to as strongly influence the market on this day as I originally thought that it could. Watch for sell signals within the market. All right, July the 8th, Venus will be squaring exactly New York State sun. I expect this to be more bearish. This is the day that Venus is at 29 degrees of Cancer. It's at 29 degrees. It's a critical degree. It's squaring to Uranus and opposite the North Node. This could be signaling headlines that force abrupt decision making. If the market is bullish or greed at this time, there could be some pullbacks, false breakdowns, value shock, rapid rotation before another advance. If it's bearish and it's challenged and negative, accelerated selling, loss of confidence, sudden support breaks. Uranus, Venus, in challenging aspects is increased volatility, surprising moves, a challenge to existing valuations, and investors become much more selective with what they're doing, especially with Venus in Virgo. Very analytical. They want to see the numbers and the proof before they do anything. July the 9th, Mercury will be squaring to natal Jupiter and trining to natal midheaven. This happened already because Mercury is retrograde, so it's going back over what it had already, degrees it's already gone over when it was direct. And this happened on a weekend period, the 19th and the 20th of June. It was a weekend, but on the 22nd of June, there was a negative reaction for Mercury squaring to natal Jupiter. On the 18th, it was a mixed market. So this could be negative, revisiting those challenges from Mercury squaring to Jupiter. This could be sideways, more negative than anything else. This is also the day that Venus enters into Virgo. Unexpected price moves, as I'd see the previous page with that unexpected price moves, false breakouts, false breakdowns. This could be a very challenged day. Over analytical, a change to existing valuations, rapid movement, headlines forcing traders to make abrupt decisions due to the market changing quickly. July the 10th, Mercury is the closest distance to Earth. This is a signal of a change in trend. So if the last few days were negative, then this could change that trend, or vice versa. July the 10th, Sun is sextiling natal Mars. Sun is squaring natal Moon. Mars is action. The Moon is the emotions. This could be very volatile. Again, there's that change in trend. So however the trend was for the previous couple of days, it could change it and do the opposite. So therefore, on this day, even though we have these two transits involving Mars the Mars and the Moon, this will be a day of a change in trend. These transits might not play out, especially if the market was positive and it changes to negative, or if the market was negative, changes to positive. This signals volatility, both of these transits, but with this change of trend, that could be how the market moves regardless of these two transits. So this is a day of a change in trend. On the 12th, Lilith will be squaring to the natal IC and squaring to the natal midheaven. This is a very big challenge. So on the 10th, if there's a change in trend and it changes to positive, expect on the 11th, 12th to be challenged, to be very challenged. Vice versa, if it was positive and change of trend happened and it became negative, expect it to continue to stay negative. This transit on the 12th will last through the 13th because it's a long-term transit. It could become volatile on the 13th because Lilith will be also sextiling to natal Jupiter, with Lilith squaring to the midheaven. The midheaven is an angle in the chart. It is very important. So is Jupiter, but it is very important. So we could have overall challenge momentum at this time and not see the full fruition of this transit. It could either continue to stay negative, or it could just be volatile, trying to move up and down because of these two Lilith transits happening at the same time. And midheaven is an angle, so it's extremely important. Jupiter is important too. Midheaven is more important. Could be volatile, or it could just stay challenged. There could be unexpected price changes. And I do have that in the late afternoon, it could be coming positive or greed, because this transit happens at 1:30 in the afternoon. So we could actually see a change from to positive towards the end of the day. So let me change that. The 12th I see as challenged. The morning of the 13th, or the first half of the day on the 13th, I see as challenged, but afternoon I see as changing over to positive, unexpectedly changing over to positive. It could be unexpected price movement at any time. So expect the unexpected with this day. Volatility is also something that could happen strongly because Venus will be squaring to Uranus general transits, unexpected price moves and price changes that happens in the morning. So this, along with Lilith squaring to this natal midheaven, I see this as a recipe for a very challenged market. The 12th, especially the 13th, first half of the day, and then possibly changing over to greed, positive in the last half of the day. And this is the day before that new moon. That's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please join me for my live stream that I'm having on Monday, June 29th, the day of this full moon, to answer any questions and to go over things that maybe I might have missed. Recording this video, because I'm recording it on June the 27th, June the 28th. And if you'd like an astrology reading to look to see how this new moon could affect you, or even the transits happening in July, those outer transits, that basket formation occurring, these are long-term transformational energies. See how you could be transforming. My link is in the description below. I would love to look at your chart with you and help you on your life's journey. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and share.